this. And then the latest thing right now is how some of these big food companies are putting adding bugs as part of their ingredients, which they've probably been doing anyway. You know, and then there was a big thing about how Lay's potato chips, they were using some ingredients from, baby parts or something like that, right? So all of that information was very vital, and it was important for us to look at the people behind the food that we make, that we eat, right? Very important. And I still am a strong advocate for that. You need to know who's behind the food that you purchase in the store, right? That should be normal. We should be doing it, right? Well, if we're going to take that amount of care when it comes to the food that we eat, the natural food, why are we holding back, or why do we pause for a second when we don't take a closer look at the people that were charged or responsible for creating the spiritual food that we're supposed to be eating? You got the rabbis up on one hand, then you got the guy that put the is it Augustine? Not Augustine. It'll come to me in a moment. He put the Vulgate together. I can't think of his name. Anyway, so this is him right here. And here he's pointing to a doggone skeleton. And a lot of his paintings that you'll see, he is pointing to a skeleton. Now, that should bring some serious concern to you. Wait a minute. This dude was responsible for translating the Bible into Latin. And then that was used as he created what was called the Latin Vulgate. And so that was used as the basis for all Bibles. All Bibles was used, what came off of him. He's the foundation of it. And then off of that sprung forth all the Bibles that we have. I don't care if you're talking about the 1611. I don't care if you're talking about the Geneva. It don't matter. This man, he laid the groundwork, if you will, for Rome, for all Bibles. And here you got him. I don't care what painting you pull up of him. In many of the paintings, he's pointing to a skeleton, a human skeleton, a human skull. And we're supposed to just put our hands up and like, oh, well, hey, listen, these are holy men. And he got the rabbis right here. And like I said, you'll check Bill Gates, but you won't check Rome. Let me say that again. Many of our people will check Bill Gates, but you won't check Rome. You won't check these rabbis. You won't check them. Because this is how they trained you. But again, I'm going to say one more time, and then we're going to move on to what we're going to be talking about today. There are places that the Most High is trying to take you, but you'll never get there. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was Jerome. Thank you. Yeah, that was Jerome. You will never get there unless you have develop a lifestyle of praying in the Spirit. So, and with that being said, we're going to get into, it's not going to be too much, but we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about, get a little bit more into the book of Esther here. Re-examining the book of Esther. Re-examining the book of Esther. And we're not going to look at, we're going to cover just pretty much the most of it, not all of it, but we're going to cover, just enough for you to get the point. Okay. Because you can really dive deep into a lot of the things, but we're going to start with the book of Esther here, and then we'll just move on. You got some people who say, man, love the portrayal of her. She's got that nice light skin, and look, she got those exotic eyes and, all of this stuff. And I talked about this last night. And then you got this, we talked about this last night, dark and calmly, and this is some book called The Israelite Woman. Here's another light skinned woman. Now, I don't light skin, dark skin, medium skin, or whatever. It don't matter. It's all beautiful in the sight of the Most High. All of it is. But there's this strain within that construct, the Hebrew community, that has a preference for this. And it comes from this wicked Talmud. That's where it comes from. It comes from this very wicked Talmud. And I talked about this yesterday in yesterday's broadcast. The whole dark and calmly, some translations will say dark but calmly. It doesn't matter. But once you look into what it really means, it's basically you're dark, but you ain't that dark. That's what that's what it basically means. And I'm just run through this again because we talked about it last night, but I'm just going to run to it. And because, a reason why it's related to what we're going to be talking about is because Esther is someone that has been held up as, oh, she was so beautiful. And she's just this. And what way the story goes, right? Which, that's how the story is written or whatever. But black folks got a hold of it. And the first thing we do is we make her as about as fair skin. We make her as about as light skin as possible. I had to catch myself because, even that word fair skin, it means it's good skin. That's what that means. So, a lot of us grew up saying, oh, yeah, she's fair skin. Fair means, oh, that's good skin. But see, that kind of stuff, that is coming down. That's being destroyed. We're going to destroy that stuff. That's some word curses that we would repeat and we will put on ourselves. We will put on our sisters, saying that unless you are this certain complexion, then you just ain't nothing. I don't deal with no darker skinned girls. I know. No. No, that needs to come down. That needs to come down for real. And you'll see that it's a strain within that construct, that Hebrew construct, where they play right into that. They keep playing that stuff up. Anyway, and it has roots in the Talmud. So anyway, someone used this here. I'll just show you this real quick. I said, Negroes are now using the Talmud as proof text. And I talked about that last night. I was just saying there's many examples. There were other examples I could have easily just put on here because it was several channels I saw doing this. And I said, I ain't going. It was because they use another passage where it describes Shem as being a boxwood, had a boxwood color, that kind of thing. And people just shouting and screaming because of that. But just for the sake of, for the record, again, I'll just go through this very quickly. And what I talked about yesterday, this is one of the texts that they were using. And again, I would strongly not advise you to ever, ever, ever use the Talmud out of all books as some kind of proof text as far as who you are. It's a very demonic book. And let me say this, it's a demonic book. And it's connected to things where it's spread its demonicism, if you will, if that's a word, as well. And this is why it's going to take us some time to peel away some of this stuff, because one of the books that the Talmud really likes is the book of Esther. Really loves the book of Esther. But anyway, this is the text that they use real quick. I'll just go through this. It said Nimrod in the Tower of Babel. It says Noah brought his sons and grandsons, and he blessed them with several settlements and gave them an inheritance all the earth. He especially blessed Shem and his sons, making them dark but calmly. And then I literally saw what black folks just going wild and crazy over this. See, that's Shem. He's dark. Well, and on the thumbnail of this one video that I saw, they didn't say dark but calmly. They said, see, it says in the Talmud that Shem was black. He didn't say Shem was black. You just added that in there. No, it says dark but calmly. And then go on, it says, and he gave them the habitable earth. He blessed Ham and his sons, making them dark like the raven. And he gave them an inheritance of the coast of the seas. He blessed Japheth and his sons, making them entirely white, and gave them for an inheritance the desert and their fields. These are the inheritance with which he endowed them. Now, when he says Ham, he says Ham was dark like the raven. And then this is a raven here in case you've never seen one. So that's what black people, particularly here in America, unfortunately, thanks to the media, many times when they think of people on the continent, they always think of those beautiful people like in the Sudan. There are certain countries where people tend to have darker skin. You know what I mean? So they think everybody in Africa is like this, for real. I know it's 2020, but some people think like that. But this is a blessing. I mean, I still see this a very beautiful skin. Very beautiful. And, but you got folks who got issues with that. They really do. They'll say, see, people with dark skin like that, what that means is that they were cursed. See, even the whole thing, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, I even have to step back even in that. Who came up with those names? Was that really their names? I'm not saying it wasn't, but I am questioning, and I am looking, and I am asking of the Most High. Because what we have been taught and shown is that what they try to teach us is that, when the Most High, when he created mankind, and as man began to move throughout the earth, when men start moving up into the colder regions, they started getting lighter. And then when man stayed, was in Africa, and then we remained dark. I'm gonna say we remained dark. I'll just say that. That's what they say but what they say is as man moved to the southern regions in Africa, they became dark. What they're subliminally are telling you is that the beginning of civilization wasn't in Africa. What they're trying to suggest is that the beginning of civilization was somewhere in the middle, that like Mesopotamia and all of that. That's what they're trying to tell you. But that's not true. It's not true at all. And if it's true as far as man's bodies began to change according to the weather, then I'm going to ask like I was like a 4-year-old. Mommy, Daddy, if that's true, then why don't we not see that today? Why we don't see that today? Why is it that a white man can be born in South Africa and then 20 years later you go back and he's still a white man? Why is it a black kid can be born in Philadelphia and in Philadelphia, PA, and which is kind of a it can get cold for real in the wintertime. And for the most of my life, talking about me now, I've been a great portion of my life was in the Northeast. But the last I looked, maybe y'all see something different. The last I looked in the mirror, I'm still black. So why do we not see that? So either we believe when man was created, he created him and he said that it's good and that's done. Or we don't. There was an adjustment and there was changes as the weather came, and when it got colder, the body began to change and adjust and all of that. We have no proof of that. That's what these wicked people are saying, because what they're really trying to cover up is that Satan seed. That's what they're trying to cover up. Because remember, he said one seed is going to crush the other seed. You remember he said that? And we talked about that as far as what really went down in the garden. So some of these folks here, the Most High ain't of his hands. They ain't of his handiwork. So that's why they want to tell us all this other stuff about, what had happened was they went here and they went. Because if that's true, you would still see that today. Then why is it that a black woman can give birth to a child in Finland or in Iceland and the baby's born black? How is that even possible? Because according to that logic, that baby is supposed to be adjust according to the weather, and then the baby turns white. But that's not the case, is it? That don't make sense at all. It makes no sense. But they throw all of this stuff around to try to make you think and believe that our bodies used to change up like this. And like I said, and we're going to call this mess out. Anytime I see this stuff, it makes me so irritated when I see Negroes buying into this stuff. This woman is beautiful as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I know they filtered it, made her look darker and all that stuff, but you know, hey, they look beautiful to me. And this is what we have to bring to our people, not just here in the States, but also in the Caribbean and also on the continent. There's too many of our people too who bought into this lie, thinking that they got to get skin whiteners and bleaches and all that kind of foolishness. No, we don't need that. No, your skin is beautiful. I don't care what color your skin is. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You got some beautiful brown skin. Whether if it's chocolate, whether it's almond, whether it's all that, that's what he created. And it's beautiful. Now, what you got to figure out is why you keep getting ashy. That's what you need to figure out, why you keep getting ashy, because that ain't of him. Okay, Johnson & Johnson can't fix that ash. Now you're gonna have to start drinking some water and using some lotion or something put on them knees. Okay, that's what you're gonna have to figure out. Okay, okay. But anyway, getting back to this text here, and oh yes, we're getting to the main thing we're gonna talk about here. Okay, and so here we go. So I talked about this yesterday too. Here's the what you would call like a color picker. It's a tool that's used like in Photoshop or any other graphical application, you know, where you can choose and it's like a little thing. You'll see it looks like a little dropper, and you can choose, you know, when you're trying to change the color of something, you know, of text or shape or something like that. You could just move over here. You can see my mouse and it will change. Someone say Crisco. I know, right? Yeah, something on there, some baby oil or something, you know. And then when you really get in the pinch, you know what to do, right? You spit in your hands and you do some of that. You do what Isaiah did, where he was putting that. He took the spit on that man's eyes. For real. Hey, I've been there. It's like, oh, dog, I gotta put my knuckles, man, they just as white as I don't know what. What the world? Let me put, you know, and I ain't got no, honey, you got some lotion? Nah, I left it in, dog. All right, let me go in there. Or you can run in the bathroom, get you some water. Yes, sir. You get some water and you just wipe it on there, and that water take good care of it. Anyway, color picker. So you see all the different colors on here. You got blue, black, you got blue, you got orange, you got green, you got all of it. You got purple, you got all this stuff, right? You got all these beautiful colors. And the thing about the raven, though, too, when you look at how the raven, because black has all those colors. I mean, the color black has all of these colors. Notice what I said, the color black. All right. So anyway, so when you look at this, you see all these different beautiful colors here. Now, when you go back here, it's going back to this text here, this demonic text. It says he blessed Ham and his sons. I'm not claiming that we're Ham. I'm just saying here for how they describe black people, because the people who put together the Talmud thought all black people were Ham. Okay. All right. So he says he blessed Ham and his sons, making them dark like the raven. All right. Let me back up here. It says, no. He especially blessed Shem and his sons, making them dark, but calmly. And so what that means is, oh, you're dark, but you ain't that dark. You know, you ain't that dark. And so that's what they, you know, that's how they thought about black folks. And so that's where you got these Hebrews out here that are like, you know, see, they're talking about us. They're talking about us. See, we ain't that black. We ain't black like them Africans over there. He talking about us. We're dark, but we're easy to look at.
I like my coffee black, but not that black. I like my coffee black, but not that black.
That's how we sit. That's exactly how exactly some of these Negroes act like. I like my coffee black, but I don't like it that black. For real. But they weren't talking about you. They were not talking about you. They were not talking about black folks here. They were talking about folks that the term that they came up with is olive skin. Well, olives come in all different colors. What you talking about? Anyway, so going back here, it says dark but calmly. Basically saying again, you're dark, but you're easy to look at. You're easy to look at. Now again, these are some demonic, racist people that put this together. They ain't talking about you because you were never easy to look at as far as they was concerned. And remember, we did a video a while back where we talked about the Madison Avenue, where all the major ad companies back in the day, going all the way back in the day, and how Jews really, at first they weren't part of it, but they came to a part where they actually controlled a lot of what was came to be known as Madison Avenue. What was the show? The Mad Men, that show Mad Men was about that. They were Jewish. That's what the show was about. These are Jewish guys, and they were running, and they didn't really play it up, but they mentioned it a few times. And you think about all the ads that used to come out back in the day when they got, people out there with big red lips, and then, when they talking about the black woman, they got to show her with a big scarf on her head, and she big, and child, when I do my dishes, I make sure I do. Or the soap we did a whole long thing on that. So anybody that they thought, so the people who put this together, what you see on your screen, that's who they're talking about. They talking about you when they say you were dark like the raven. They didn't say you were black. All right. Because again, point to me on this screen here, the color dark. There is no color dark on here. You'll find the color black, but you won't find the color dark. And that's why they went out of their way to say, when we say dark, we're talking about dark as like the raven. And that's where, if you go into it, then you'll find that this whole thing, the curse of Ham, Judaism played a major role in pushing that whole ideology. And that was used as the foundation for slavery. And it gave them justification to treat black people the way they did, is because, again, according to the Talmud, this is what they used. All right. And so anyway, real quick here, and then we're going to move on to what we're going to be talking about. Like I said, there's not a whole lot on that front what we're going to be talking about, but it's, I'm just trying to fit in as much as I can here. This is another excerpt out of the Talmud. Okay. Again, we're not using the Talmud for validation or anything. I'm showing you just how demonic it is. And it says the sages taught three violated the directive and engaged in intercourse while in the ark, and all of them were punished for doing so. There were the dog, the raven, and Ham, son of Noah. The dog was punished in that it is bound. The raven was punished in that it spits. And Ham was afflicted in that his skin turned black. You see what I'm saying? And so they're saying black skin means that you're cursed. So they were talking about black folks. Ham was black according to them. So ergo, the whole curse of Ham thing that they use. And again, these people, Sephardic Jews, Ashkenazis, took part in the slave trade, and this was their proof text to treat you the way they treated you. All right. But anything that when you hear anybody trying to compare people on the continent that have skin like this, I tell you, the older I get, I keep telling myself, Father, help me, because I tell you, I'll be ready to go off on folks. I'll be ready to, when one of the things that really trigger me and set me off for real is with this colorism stuff. That really sets me off when I hear that stuff. I remember years ago we had a, I wasn't even married then. I was in my 20s, and we had like a youth group that I started, and it was a beautiful girl, young girl, and her skin looked just like this. I mean, it was dark, but she was beautiful. But she was very shy and all of that, and but she beautiful skin. But those are the kind of people back in the day. You just black. I'm glad I ain't that black. Oh, that's evil. That's wicked. And like I said, this is what they brought in, when they say Queen Esther. This is the best black folks could do when they think of Queen Esther. They had to make her like this. Like I say, ain't no shade on the sisters in the house that you got lighter skin, and, that's what he's giving you, and that's beautiful too. But see, what we're not going to do is we're not going to be idolizing that, okay? Because we know ultimately what's behind that when people always prefer that. Like I always say, if Beyonce was dark like me, she would not be Beyonce. She would be something, Shaquita or something like that. She would be somewhere else. She would be somewhere else, but she would not be Beyonce. No, sir. No way. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's move on. All right. So now let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. All right. Well, that was an intro. All right. So let's get in. Thank you, T Psalms, and for the suggestion for the song, and I added it to our Peace Radio list. And any other music y'all have, if you want to email it to me, I'll try to add that to our list as well. So we'll be playing that anytime when we're playing some praise and worship music, we can have some good music that we can play. So thank you again. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's get into what we talked about earlier. We talked about this a while back. These are things that we touched on, I believe it was last week. And we're going to get in a little bit deeper here. Esther. All right. Now, again, that word that is not an African word. Okay. That is not an African word. None of those words that you name, a lot of those names it's not. The names that they chose to put on the forefront, in many of those names, you will see they were not African names at all. And the reason why you're going to keep on hearing me saying African names and emphasizing that, because of the fact that's where civilization began. And so out of that should be our reference in terms of, especially when it comes to some of these names. Jonathan and David and all that. I'm not saying these people didn't exist. Don't get me wrong, okay? Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm not saying these people did not exist. Like David, Jonathan, some of these. Okay, I believe they did. But the names, however, those are Eurocentric names. Those are European names. And no. That means they trying to hide something. There's some things they trying to hide. So, this is where we need the Holy Spirit to lead us and guide us into all truth in that, so, but we'll use them for the time being, and figure out even Dawid or whatever, same thing. They ain't our language. Okay. Anyway, Esther. So when we first look at the book of Esther, again, the name Esther, that you have to go to the source where it comes from. It's a Hebrew word, right? So let's look at the Hebrew. Well, who are the gatekeepers of the Hebrew language? Well, it's the Jewish people, right? So you go to their sources, and according to the Jewish Encyclopedia, the name Esther, what does it say here? It says it's the chief character in the book of Esther, derived, according to some authorities, from the Persian stara, and that's Stara, or star, but regarded by others as the modification of Ishtar. Ishtar, the name of the Babylonian goddess. So when you say Esther, you're saying Ishtar. When you say Easter, you're also saying Ishtar. So it's all the same. It's all the same family. So according to them, Esther is Ishtar. All right. And so here you go, so, this is Esther here. This is Esther, Ishtar. All right. You see her portrayed here. You put some clothes on. Let's keep it moving. All right. So let me pull up this video. Wow. Let me pull up this article here. This is found in The Collector. Goddess Ishtar, the Mesopotamian goddess of love, sex, and war. All right, well, let's look this up here. We need to investigate, figure this out. What's going on here? What is going on here? Hold on. Where is my... Okay. Hold on, I'll get it. I'm getting it. Okay, here it is. Oh, y'all see it. You looking at one? No, you don't. I'll just move it. Okay, you'll see it here in a moment. There you go. Okay, here we go. Not going to read this whole thing, but this will be enough to give you an idea of who Ishtar is or was, right? The ancient region of Mesopotamia was home to the first civilizations in human history. You see this? You see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The ancient region of Mesopotamia was home to the first civilizations in human history. But again, I'm going to remind you again, where is the oldest standing structures located in the world? In South Africa. So that's a lie right there. All right. So those structures, they just came out of nowhere in South Africa, but people couldn't figure things out. They didn't become civilized. See how they put that in there? So let's just read that again. The ancient region of Mesopotamia was home to the first civilization in human history. So what does that mean? That means anything else outside of Mesopotamia, they weren't civil. Oh, yeah, we're going to make sure we take our time with all of this stuff because we're going to strip all this stuff out. All right. It says, unsurprisingly, earning it the title of the cradle of civilization from roughly 3200 BCE to the fall of the Persian Empire in 331 BC. Civilizations such as Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians made their home between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. Okay, we gonna blah, 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 whatever. We got all that. Okay. In the earliest days of Mesopotamia, the goddess of love was not known as Ishtar. Rather, she was worshipped by the Sumerians as Inanna and would later be called Ishtar by the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. Interestingly, some scholars believe that Inanna and Ishtar were originally two separate deities that were merged into one being over time. It is known with relative certainty that Ishtar had a twin brother who was originally known as Utu among the Sumerians and later renamed Shamash. The goddess of love also had an older sister named, okay, we're going through our whole family history. I don't care about all that. All right, and let me see. All right, I'll just read this part here. We're just getting like a little bit of trying to, okay, who is Ishtar? You know, we're just getting a general idea. One of the most well-known myths featuring goddess Ishtar is centered around the death of her husband, Dumuzi Tammuz. So you see, this is tied to Tammuz. And don't you know the symbol of the cross is Tammuz, the cross symbol? That's where it comes from, Tammuz. And the Bible even warned about the worship of Tammuz as well. One day we'll talk about that. Anyway, interestingly, there are two versions of Dumuzi's death. Okay, well, I'll just read it. Interesting, there are two versions of Dumuzi's death. In one version, the shepherd god is killed by bandits and Ishtar, referred to as Inanna, in these texts bitterly mourns her passing. In his passing, in another tale, Ishtar descends into the underworld and is killed by her sister, and then they name it here. Okay, they're doing all kinds of stuff, crazy stuff here. Okay. Depictions of Ishtar in Mesopotamia records reveal a complex deity that was dualistic, sometimes even contradictory in nature. That sounds a lot like Judaism, don't it? What we've been learning and talking about, right? Even their Star of David. That's what the Star of David is. That's what shalom, the word shalom is dualistic. All right. Contradictory in nature, because you're saying, well, they say, well, what you're really saying is a greeting, is hello and goodbye, right? Well, yeah, that's part of it. The other part is the embracing of two opposites, right? As a goddess. And so this is fitting right in to what they believe, Judaism, what it is, don't it? Ain't it? As the goddess of fertility and sex, as well as war, Ishtar's sphere of influence encompassed the opposing forces of life and death, and Mesopotamian texts described her as delighting in making war as much as she did in making love. Oh, man, are y'all hearing this? This literally is Judaism. So I wonder, have we stumbled on really the first goddess of Judaism? I wonder. Let me read that again. Let's see. Depictions of Ishtar in Mesopotamia records reveal a complex deity that was dualistic, sometimes even contradictory in nature. As a goddess of fertility and sex, as well as war, Ishtar's sphere of influence encompassed the opposing forces of life and death. I'm taking my time with this, family. Maybe I want to make sure y'all getting this, okay? I want to make sure y'all getting this. Let me see. Let me open this up here. Here it is. Because I want to make sure y'all follow me on this. This right here, life and death. Dualistic. Ishtar. This is all falling in. Do you see what I'm talking about here? And this whole thing was that was from the slide we did on Shalom. Okay. Like I said, I want to really take my time on this so that, we ain't missing anything. We're not missing anything here. Okay, so let me go back. Let's get on down with it. Okay, so let's go to Mordecai. Mordecai. All right. And that's another Hebrew word. And what does Mordecai, what does it mean? According to the Jewish Encyclopedia, Mordecai probably belonging to Marduk, a Babylonian deity. All right, so already there's red flag. If it ain't red flags going to, wait a minute. I thought these are, but you got to stop for a second. You got to, before you go there and maybe that was their names. And wait a minute, I thought these were supposed to be holy and righteous people, set apart people. And they set apart, but they got names of Babylonian deities. And this ain't really adding up, is it? It ain't adding up. All right, let's look at this. Marduk. Who's Marduk? A god from ancient Mesopotamia and patron deity of the city of Babylon. So this is the patron deities, just so you understand what that means. This joint, he was like the dude. He was the god of Babylon, Marduk. He was the god. So this is Mordecai. This is what his name. So his name means he belonged to Marduk. That's what it means. All right, let's continue here. Now, someone brought, I wonder if their names were changed just like that. Now, that's possible. We're going to put an asterisk by there. Okay, we're going to put an asterisk by here. But in this particular case, when we're talking about the book of Esther, I'm going to give you reasons why the book itself, in of itself, is more of a tale and not a true story. Okay, but you can take that and apply that to other places in the Bible where it is truly believed, at least I believe anyway, that the story may be legit, but they probably changed the name. So you will see that, right? But in this particular case, Not in this particular case. But I'm glad you brought that up because that is you're thinking. That's good. That's yeah. Because yeah. Anyway. All right, so let's read this. This is okay. Let's read more about Marduk. Marduk's star was Jupiter. Now, oh man. We're gonna talk about that Jupiter and what it's all tied to in Judaism. Jupiter. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Marduk's star was Jupiter, and his sacred animals were horses, dogs, and especially the so-called dragon with the forked tongue, representations of which adorn his city walls. On the oldest monuments, Marduk is represented by holding a triangular spade or hoe, interpreted as an emblem of fertility in vegetation. He is also pictured walking or on his war chariot. Typically, his tunic is adorned with stars. In his hand is a scepter, and he carries a bow, a spear, a net, or thunderbolt. Kings of Assyria and Persia also honored Marduk in Zarpanitu, and in inscriptions, and rebuilt many of their temples. Okay. Not now, but at some point we're going to look at the book of Psalms, because you're going to find descriptions of the Most High when they're talking. You think they're talking about the Most High, but they're not. They're actually making references to other gods. I told you, you're going to have to hold on, family. I'm not telling you to throw out the whole book, but there are things that they put in there that we're going to need his spirit to spot this stuff out, because some of this, no, it ain't adding up. All right, here we go. Marduk was later known as Bel, B-E-L, a name derived from the Semitic word Baal, or Lord. Bel had all the attributes of Marduk, and his status and cult was much the same. Bel, however, gradually became to be thought of as the god of order and destiny. In Greek writings, references to Bel indicate the Babylonian deity and not the Syrian god of Palmyra of the same name. All right. So now this guy Mordecai was tied. He was named. His name means he belonged to Marduk. He belonged to this god. All right. That's what his name meant. Now, Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther, okay, the one who started the Protestant, who's credited with starting the Protestant movement. He didn't believe that Esther should be part of the Bible. And not just him, there was a lot of these people from way back in the day. When they read through Esther, they were like, nah, this thing don't need to be canonized. This does not need to be part of the Bible. Oh, no. Anyway, so this is what was said here. It says, I suppose the first thing to say about the book of Esther is that Martin Luther hated it. He absolutely hated it. He called Esther less worthy of being held canonical than any other writing of the Old Testament. And he put it on a list with Second Maccabees for books that Judaize too much and contain much pagan naughtiness. So even he saw that. Now, Martin Luther had some issues too. Make no mistake about it. But he even spotted this and was like, yeah, there's some stuff in here that's all way off. But that's Martin Luther. Like I said, that's the name that everybody recognizes. But when you start going through what they call the church fathers, there was numbers of them that said, nah, this shouldn't be added. So you can get into the weeds in that as far as how did they come to the conclusion? Yeah, add it. You can get into the weeds at that, because again, that's where it gets into a lot of, like, some people agree with this, other people did not, all this stuff. But let the record be known that you had people like Martin Luther who took a look at this book, because there was another quote, and I didn't have it in here, where he said it should be tossed in the river. It needs to be tossed in the river. That's how he felt about it. He was very passionately saying this book does not belong in what we're constructing called the Bible. Another fact about the book of Esther is that the name of the Most High isn't even mentioned. You will not find the name of the Most High even mentioned in this book. Now that's another thing we need to take note of. That's another thing you need to take note of. All right. And I'm sure you'll find some translation where they threw it in there somewhere, but no, it's not in there. Okay. So here's another thing here. I didn't make that big for y'all. I'm sorry. The Jews in the book of Esther, and I put in air quotes, Jews in the book of Esther were part of those who opted to stay in Babylon after the Most High made a way via King Cyrus for them to return back to their land. Now, this is something to keep in mind here. Now, after the 70 years, because Esther supposedly takes place after the 70 years. So after the 70 years, basically the Most High, you see, he made a way for them to go back to the land. He made a way for them. He said, now you can go on back now. Go back to the land. That's basically what the Most High told them. But here's the issue. Here's the weird thing. If he's telling them to go back in the land, but they still hanging out, what does that mean? That means that all of these were in rebellion. That means they were all in rebellion because the Most High wanted them to go back to the land, but they didn't. So this whole play, if you will, of Esther takes place in a time when the Most High told them to go back to the land, but they didn't. So all these folks, according to the timetable, when you look at it, they were in disobedience. Just something to think about. These are just little things. Like I said again, we're just hitting some high points here. We're just hitting some things here, okay? All right. Here's another thing here. Now, this is in Esther chapter 1, verse 3-5. Let's read it. In the 3rd year of his reign, Xerxes held a feast for all the officials and servants. The military leaders of Persia and Media were there, along with the nobles and princes and provinces. And for a full 180 days, he displayed the glorious riches of his kingdom and the magnificent splendor of his greatness. At the end of this time, in the garden court of the royal palace, the king held a 7-day feast for all the people in the citadel of Susa, from the least to the greatest. Now, 180 days, again, they play a lot of numerology in the Bible. And one thing that I will tell you, and I will tell you all the time, I don't care who it is, always question rounded numbers. Always question it, because if it's a rounded number, chances are it's a message. When you see in the media, they say 40,000 people died, 80,000 people, it's exactly 80,000. It's exactly 40,000. It's exactly 120,000. Exactly. What's the probability of that happening? The Bible is no exception to that. So 180, 60 plus 60 plus 60. They love those sixes, don't they? Always doing stuff like this. These people are always doing stuff like this. Now, I could be reading into that. That's possible too. But I will tell you this. Anytime you see rounded numbers in the Bible, wherever, I don't care, in the media, from the media to the Bible, it don't matter. Always question it. Even this thing with the guy that they caught with the whole crypto thing, what's his name, Friedman, whatever his name is. There was an article. They said he received funds. At the tune of $3.3 million or something. They always got to put the 33 in there. Always. So anytime they do that, family, you're not crazy. See, now we're not crazy anymore. Now we know what's up. Anyway, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give a big shout out to, do a search for this guy. He's passed away. His name is Tex Mars. Texe Mars. Marrs. Tex Mars. When I tell you, this dude blew the lid open on a lot of this stuff. Like I say, he's passed on. He's an old white Texas dude. But when he dug into this whole stuff about, well, he talked about Esther, but he also went into the, what was it? Freemasonry, Judaism. Oh, he was going hard on Judaism. I mean, it's a lot of stuff he's put out, but, and I'm just scratching the surface even with that, because he got some stuff out, but people like that have laid a lot of this stuff out and it's been ignored, but you know, it's true. I mean, there's truth to this stuff, you know? Anyway. All right, here we go. Now, Esther chapter 2, verse 2 to 10. All right. This is another thing here that's worth note. All right. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus, okay, I guess I'm saying that. If I butchered it, my fault, was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what he had decreed against her. Now, I didn't have it. I didn't put it in here yet. I didn't put it in here at this time. But even Vashti, I believe, is tied to another deity. All right. But anyway, then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of the kingdom, that they may gather together all their fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hedge, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleases the king be the queen instead of Vashti. And that the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now in Shushan, the palace, where a certain Jew, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimi, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. And by the way, you know, when it says a certain Jew, that's, I believe, is the first time the word Jew, Jew, is mentioned in the Bible. And remember, I said that when Jew is associated with Mordecai, the word Jew is associated with Mordecai, which now we know Mordecai is tied to Marduk. Okay, so you know, people need to be running around here talking about you a Jew. All right. What you're saying is you're connected to Marduk. All right. So anyway, all right, verse 6, who had been carried from, okay, I'll go back to 5 again. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimi, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, the king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father or mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, that when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him and obtained kindness of him, and she speedily gave her things for purification, with which things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. Esther had not shown her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had changed her that she should not show it, meaning that she was to keep it a secret that she was a quote unquote Jew. All right. So why is she hiding the fact that she's a Jew in the first place? When the Most High again, we could go back, had already told them they need to get their behinds out of all of that anyway and go to the land that he had already set aside for them. So why are they preferring to stay in a place where they have to hide their identity? And what was the other thing too? Just the other theme about this is how this is what these Jews tend to do anyway, don't they? In real life. They're always trying to conceal themselves. They're always doing it. This is probably why the Talmud really loves this story. It's because you're dealing with a person who is Jewish, air quotes, that has to hide their identity in order to access power. This is probably why they really like this story. Anyway, let's move on here. We're almost finished here. I've got 2 more slides. All right, so out of this, comes the holiday that they refer to called Purim. And just real quick here, I'll just read to you what Purim is. Okay, Purim, is a Jewish holiday which commemorates the saving of the Jewish people from Haman, an official of the empire who was planning to have all of Persia's Jewish subjects killed, as recounted in the book of Esther. And Haman was the royal advisor to Persian king Xerxes. Okay, wait a minute. Do I need to read all of that? Hold on. Okay, so according to the scroll of Esther, they should make them days of feasting and gladness and sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor. Purim is celebrated among Jews by exchanging gifts or food or drink known as, and then they name it. I think it's mishloach. I don't even like saying that stuff, honestly, y'all. So you just got to excuse me with that. Donating charity to the poor, eating a celebratory meal, public recitation of the scroll of Esther, reciting additions to the daily prayers, and the grace after meals. So it's like a whole thing that they have going on here. A whole thing that they have. I'm going to look for one other thing I forgot to mention. I forgot to add here. If y'all just give me just a moment here. Hold on for a second here. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, this is what I'm going to find here. Okay, yeah, this is, I don't have the pictures here, but hold on, let me see if I can find. Oh, yeah, this will do. All right, so, as you can see here, you can't see it now. Let me bring it back on the screen. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, they do this big thing where they get dressed up. It's like people equate it to like the Jewish Halloween, basically. People get dressed up, the children get dressed up, and they, dress up as all kinds of things, and of course, as you know, they had to take it to the extreme because there were some stories that came out not too long ago where they were even dressing up in blackface. So you knew that was going to happen. Yeah, you knew that was going to happen. They were dressing up as, this is Purim. So I don't know what that got to do with what that got to do with Esther, but anyway, yeah, it was a whole article. It was up right here in New Jersey, y'all. Here's another one. Black Lives Matter, and they got froze on, and then they colored their faces and all of that, and this is how they get down with Purim. All right. But this is all based on, again, Purim is based off of Esther and the whole nine, right? That's what it's based on. But then there's another part of it, too. And this is the last slide here. All right. Bring this back up. Not that, but this here. Okay. All right. So they have, in Purim, they have these cookies. Help me. I figure I could see this name here. They're called Haman Shazin. Haman Shin. I guess that's how you say it. and these cookies that are shaped like triangles. And they give it to the little children or whatever, and they eat them, and they're so cute. Oh, they look so yummy. I know they put all kind of great stuff in them. But anyway, let's read what this is supposed to be. Haman, whatever. I'm saying it wrong, I know. I'll spell it for those that are listening. It's HamanTaschen, also known as Onzi Haman, which literally means Haman's ears. Yes, that is how the Jewish people celebrate their historic victory over persecution and the evil villain Haman. We fill our enemies' ears with poppy seeds or jam and eat them. Don't mess with us. So you're showing children this is how you get down. You fill them up with some kind of their ears. This is supposed to represent human flesh. This is supposed to represent human flesh, and they're eating them. Who does that kind of foolishness? I mean, seriously, who does this kind of stuff? Where it's supposed to be human flesh. It's supposed to be a human ear. And that's normal. This is normal. It's supposed to be a human ear, and we just eating it. Yeah, this is how we get down with our enemies. We just eat their ears up. We're gonna fill it up in it. That's some what you call it? That's some cannibal, that's low-key cannibalism. Think about it. Same thing in Belgium. What they do in Belgium with the Belgian folks, with the hands of Africans. And they say, we're going to make, we got chocolate hands. It's like a chocolate hand thing where I'm eating some chocolate hand. See, this is what I'm saying. People trying to be tied to these people. These people are crazy. And this is how they get down like this. Like that crazy woman in Hollywood that had like the human bodies where they're like this, where they have them all laid up butt naked on tables, and then they put food around them, and people are just kind of like just eating around them like that's supposed to be. No, that's not normal. That's not normal. Think about, like I said again, just calm down, relax. I'm telling myself that. Just think about it. Let's bring it down a little bit. Think about it. When I go to my mama's house, or I go to my grandma, when you go to your grandma, you go to your friend's house or whatever, for those of you, whether if you do Thanksgiving or not, whatever, I don't care. Well, let's just say we're going to cook some good food here. We're going to cook some good food. Black folk, we're going to get together. We're going to cook some good food. What we do, we're going to get some potato pies. We're going to get some, we're gonna get some collard greens. We're gonna get some chicken. We're gonna get some roast beef. We're gonna get some, we'll have stuff, right? We just got some. Ain't nothing on that table that remotely supposed to represent a human body part. Nothing. Yeah, someone brought up a gingerbread man. That's not even from our culture. Now, I like gingerbread, but, the whole gingerbread man, like, I'm going to bite the head off. As children, again, I didn't know then, we would get the gingerbread man in school or whatever, and we just, hey, we're going to bite the head off. Look at that. Not realizing, man, hold up, this is crazy. He said, no more gingerbread man. Look, we'll keep the ginger. I love ginger, cookies and all that, but they ain't gotta be no whole man. Why I'm biting the foot off now I'm biting the hand off. But yeah, here we go with this is all tied to Purim, which is tied to the book of Esther, right? And so yeah, there you go. So there's a lot of other things there that we can look in and investigate, and we can see, but I think we got enough here that we can look and see, you know what, at least for the most ardent skeptic in the audience that'll listen, hopefully there's enough here that has raised up enough questions for you to take a closer look, at this, at that book, at the book of Esther. Are there good principles, or are there some things that we can learn out of? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's things, I'm sure, story teaches some interesting stories, some interesting moral, lessons or whatever. But is this a true story? Is this something that really happened? Is this something that really lines up with this is from the Most High? I mean, based on the things that we just went over, it's not really adding up. At least not to me, it's not. Okay. And especially when you go back and when we talked earlier, even about the time period where they were given basically instruction to leave out of that whole area and go back to their land. But everyone in the book of Esther, they still chilling. They hiding themselves. We ain't who we think we are, but we trying to get to power so we can control stuff. So even the whole setting of that is kind of weird and is off. And that's all Todd mentioned, that there was there are some extra additional books to the book of Esther where they do mention the name God. So, investigate that. Who came up with those? Where did those books come from? And that's for all of these extra books that are out here. We have to look at, you got to look at all of those things. But the thing is, you just take your time, because if you try to do it all in one day, it will overwhelm you. You will get disheartened. You'll go through your phases where you feel like you just want to throw everything out and all of that. I know. Trust me, family. There's a whole lot more that I've been so close to want to tease what the next thing I wanted to talk about, but I said, nope, I ain't going to say it. I'm not going to talk about it. I am not going to talk about it. But I'm telling you, when you see it, you're going to be like, oh, snap. I'm serious. That's how your reaction is going to probably be just like mine. When I was like, what in the world? What in the world? My goodness. It's something, family. It's really something. But we're going to take our time, with all of this stuff. And we're going to take, and we long to be led by his spirit above all else, because this can't be just more than just knowledge. We got to line this. So when you're reading this stuff, like I said, so when you're going through the Bible, you're going to see, this is why, like I said, I point out, you'll find a lot of references in the Bible that point to African cultural practices. And like I said, again, the more and more I look at this, the more it's looking like these folks rolled up into Africa and they started pulling different practices, and then they saw, because they can't come up with their own stuff. So they had to steal from other people, put it in the blender, and they created their own stuff, and then they added their own little stuff in there as well, and so there's going to be some things, maybe not you, but maybe someone on the continent, and which is happening all the time. I hear it all the time. People on the continent, they'll say, oh, that story in the Bible about this? Well, we've been doing this for like thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? It's just that you're not exposed to that. You know what I mean? For many of our people, you're not exposed to hear that stuff from our people on the continent, because there's a lot of times where, there are things that they will tell you, hey, we've been doing this. Or this word here that they use, that actually comes from something that was in our tongue, and it used to come from that. So it's all over. It's literally the Bible is literally has so many instances like that, and it's really something. So we're going to take our time. We're going to diligently seek him. All right. We're going to diligently seek him, and we're going to take one step at a time. And that's what I advise everybody to do. Okay. What was that I talked about? The the whole Samson story, that other thing. That's like, I was like, wait a minute. This man got a whole bag of skins and not pork rinds. That's probably where it came from. Samson in a bag of skin. That's probably where it came from. Hey, look, Todd, you probably will find an extra text too. They'll probably say that Samson had a bottle of hot sauce with that too. Oh my goodness. Samson and a bag of skins. My gosh. My goodness. You will never, ever see a bag of skins the same way ever again. I guarantee it. You will never see it. Next time you go in the grocery store, you will never. Every time I'm speaking it. I'm speaking it in existence. The next time you go in the grocery store and you go in that chip aisle and you see Samson with someone said, was that Samson or David? I thought it was Samson. Hold on. No, don't make me look crazy here. Hold on. Please tell me hope I was right. Let's see. Foreskin. Let's see. Hold on. Let me look this up. Let me get this right, because I was saying that was David. I've been saying Samson all this time. My bad. I was saying David. Okay, well, let's turn our eyes on David. All right, here we go. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Thank you for that. I've been saying David. I've been saying Samson all this time. I really thought it was Samson. No, it was David. You're right. Here we go. And David and the servants of Saul told Saul what David had said. Saul replied, "Say to David, the king desires no other dowry than 100 Philistine foreskins as revenge on his enemies." But Saul intended to cause David's destiny, and then whatever. And then it goes on. And if you keep reading it, you'll see that David brought back a bag of skins. That is probably where it came from, y'all. I think we made another discovery here. And brought some hot sauce with it. He was like, wait a minute now, did you? And that was the other caveat. David, see, that's the verse that probably ain't in there. You know, and then the verse it will say like, and David brought back the bag of skins. And then it said, and Saul replied, but did you bring the hot sauce? Jesus. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you'll never see a bag of skins ever again. The same way ever again. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that correction. Yeah, I have been thinking it was Samson. But yeah, it was actually that was David. Thank you for that. But yeah, ain't that crazy? So yeah, we got to look into that. We got to look at that. We got to really look at that now, don't we? So there's a lot there. There's a whole lot there, family. But like I said again, we're gonna take our time, and we're gonna get it. Okay, we're gonna definitely get it, and we're gonna enjoy the process. Okay, that's the key. That's the key. Enjoy it. Okay, you know, and don't be too disheartened at some of this stuff here, family. I gotta laugh, because this is a laugh of freedom, because I'm so grateful, to be walking in his truth. And that's what we're going to continue to do.